I knew it was out here somewhere.
Okay, it is Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. We'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Born and unborn.
Okay. Minutes and reports received and filed.
We do not have any today.
Commissioner Committee Liaison reports, upcoming meetings, November.
We had a Home Builders Association board meeting this afternoon, Planning Commission meeting this evening, Missouri Association of Counties board meeting tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, got a Solid Waste Management District board meeting. We've got the property visit tomorrow afternoon. Home Builders Association general meeting tomorrow night. Cole County Communities meeting Thursday morning. Chamber barbecue Thursday afternoon. Cole County Chiefs Thursday evening. Chamber of Commerce Friday, coffee Friday morning. And that's about it till next week.
You've covered almost everything I have on my list, Jeff, except salute. I have a salute to America meeting tomorrow, and you mentioned the commission meeting tomorrow afternoon. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. I have a National Guard presentation at Central Bank today at noon. And up for our communities. I've got a meeting at the Boys and Girls Club Thursday at 9:30. And then Friday morning, I have a 911 meeting at City Hall. So that's it. And we're just kind of waiting for the judge. So, any commission comments? Any other bids and contracts? No? Okay. Well, it was whenever the judge gets here, we can go back to that. Do we have any unfinished business? No?
Nope. Sorry.
Okay, new business, accounts payable.
I think we do have accounts payable.
Motion to approve accounts payable pending review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're gonna hold off on the public works, that's gonna take a while then. How about county clerk with annual precinct inspection reports?
Yes, sir.
Report.
Got our annual report. I emailed it to you guys, I'm sure you got it. We just changed a couple precincts. St. Joe's going under a remodel, so we had to move out to the Bible Chapel. And then Blair Oaks, we still vote at the same place, but it's the middle school now. They renamed it instead of the high school. Any questions? No, that's it. All right, well, thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we'll just keep,
Good luck.
approval of men split for AC unit at the County Health Department.
You gentlemen asked me to get a bid for the vaccine room, and I think, isn't breast milk cooler in there too? No? We got some bids, mini split, electrical and roof repair. I sent you all copies. Debbie also put it on today's agenda, so you can pull it up for $6,200. This will be tied in with, if we lose power, it'll be tied into the generator system to keep that room cool and everything running. $6,250.
Yeah, that's all of them. We got 3 of the bids here altogether. So is that all government contract or?
It's
How's it?
underneath the, 2 of them are under.
It's underneath the 12,000
It's
then?
under the 12,000, 2 of them are our contract.
Okay,
Okay,
you good?
I'm good.
I'll make a motion to award the mini split contract with Capital City Air, Meyer Electric, and Weathercraft.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Uh, Appointment of Mid-Missouri Solid Waste Management District.
Well, I'm still on there, but Mark Lubering was the backup for the board, so I tricked Joe. I told him there was free lunch in it for him. So he's volunteered to be the backup for Cole County, so it'll still be myself, and then Joe would be the second person, the backup for it. So
That's all you can get, I'm fine.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to appoint Joe Gasner to the Solid Waste Management District Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And you just gotta sign that one.
Okay. Then what, I'm just keep jumping around till the judge is here. First reading of budget adjustment number 3.
This is for $450. This was an additional amount to the enhancement of the cybersecurity for Nick's, one of Nick's grants. So if you have any questions about that, otherwise we'll take it under advisement for 10 days and then we'll bring it back up to change his budget.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is an adjustment due to this, the cost between when we originally applied for the grant and then what the cost was for equipment. And the grant has agreed to pay 100% of the adjusted cost.
So again, no action today. We'll bring it back up in 10 days and then we'll be able to change his budget.
Okay.
That's the easy part. Next time we'll grill you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
First reading of budget adjustment number 4.
This is for $2 million. This is for the grant that the EMS department received for the building. So again, no action today, but I'll bring it back up in 10 days.
Okay. Okay. Renewal 2 with Wireless USA vehicle equipment install and repair.
This is the second renewal with Wireless USA for the equipment, install and repair services for the Sheriff Department. Wireless USA did submit a 5% increase for their services. The Sheriff's Department is satisfied with their service and is okay with the increase. So today I'm just needing approval on the second renewal.
Yep.
Do you guys have the bid tab?
I'll offer a motion to agree to the renewal with Wireless USA for vehicle equipment install and repair with the 5% increase.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Judge
Okay.
is here if you want to do
Judge
that.
Walker is here, so we will go back to bid award of 2022-13 free trail services case management, it says. So we're gonna go for trails. I think bicycles.
All right, so we bid out the pre-trial services, case management, and reporting software for the courts. We had one vendor, Automon, submit a response in the amount of $11,500. They met all the requirements, and we did a demo with them, and these gentlemen were both satisfied with their services. We needed to get it awarded today because we need OSCA's approval on it, so we don't want to sign the contract, but we kind of want to make sure that you guys are okay with the services and then go get OSCA's approval in their next meeting.
And I'll just add, thanks for having us, and I know that this has been a little bit of a journey, and actually it's been about 2 years that we've identified the need for this program, which will take a lot of the data entry time off of our limited staff in pretrial, and allow them to do their job, do their evaluation, their reports to the court, and then their supervision of those on pretrial release. I'd say it's been about a 2-year journey because we've been looking at different vendors. While there was only one official bidder under the open bid, we actually did demos of 2 or 3 prior to the bidding process. We've gone to state and national conferences where there have been also pretrial vendors, and we've seen pieces and parts, and we did post-bid process with their demo that they came and did for us, we asked them questions about, enhancements that may be coming and things that we would want in the program, and they're willing to work with us. I would add that, and I know 2 years ago, the sheriff said, there's money available through one of his buckets, I guess, for the program, but in the end, the program, the contract for this program, I believe we're gonna get about 2 years for the cost of what 2 years ago we were thinking would get us 1 year of a program, and that may just be dumb luck or timing, but nonetheless, it's a program that I think is certainly worth the money. The only other thing I would add, and then Richard may have more specifics as to the program itself, but is that in talking with circuits throughout the state, seeing them, and I know Sam, you and I have talked about this, our pretrial program is more robust than any that I've experienced in the state. Even the larger counties, while they may have more staff and sometimes, if you will, more bells and whistles for the population that they get reports on, they're not doing the level of report writing, the responsiveness, the communication with the 5 judges, and then the supervision, which is the hardest part, frankly. But some circuits, they say they have a pretrial program. They don't really have a pretrial program. They just
Yeah, some of the training sessions we've gone to, I think you went to that one too, Richard. I think they should have had Richard probably as one of the presenters, because we know, we do more and you know more than the presenters did. So, yeah, I think it's, if we can get 2 for the price of 1, we like that.
How many people we got on pretrial right now?
We have about 260.
What's the average length of time that they're?
A long
they've been
time.
on it, so-
It's shortening up. COVID was a big issue for us. I mean, getting them through the court system is always an issue, but COVID extended a lot of that. But like the last month, more people came off the program than what we took on, and that's the first time that's ever occurred. So we're seeing cases being adjudicated and where people are coming off the program quicker, and that's the key.
public defender assignments have helped that.
Yeah.
They're getting public
Yeah, I
defender
know we
assigned
got 2
quicker.
more of them, right?
Pardon me?
We've got 2 more public defenders now.
I think so, yeah, and therefore they're getting their assignments quicker. I will say this, and this is sort of an aside to the pretrial, but we were just recently looking at statistics in our treatment court program, and we are getting people from initial arrest to treatment or to referral, in other words, through pretrial faster than the average throughout the state too. So even though sometimes we're frustrated with how long it takes, this is the judges, and therefore there's more stress on pretrial or there's more bond reviews, we're actually quicker than most circuits in the state. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think that just is one thing, that how long they were on the system and we're footing the bill for it, so.
So the basics of this case management, I don't know exactly what they call it, but it's basically a case management program which will allow our users to, in real time, if one of them checks in with Richard because he's on their supervision, his supervision population, you know, we've got 4 full-time staff, then he can check it in the system and the others can automatically check it. It can create a report. The judge could get the report on the docket and see that, you know, that person is not only checking in but complying or not in real time, and then make the decision again, because the judge has to decide still safety of the community and will they appear based on that data. And that's it's a constant, you know, push and pull for the judges to do that, but to have this real time and not have to have pretrial spend 30% of their time just, you know, doing a report in an old access type database and then create a Word document instead. It'll be automatic.
Basically, we have about 6 or 7, I think now we're up to 7 spreadsheets we use on a daily basis, and we have to make all the entries into all 7 sheets. We will have none. We will get all that information. Once it's put into this system, we'll take care of all of our spreadsheets. Electronic monitoring, billing, all that stuff. And significant savings for us. There is one other thing I'd just like to mention. We did get a price for data conversion. And basically what that is we have about 4,000 people we've entered in the system that we have records on. If we switch to this new base, what we would like to do is take 2 items from the old system and put them in the new system. Basically the data information, just the name, date of birth, social security number, birth date, that type of information, and then also the criminal history. Because that information is something that once we get it into the system, we can build on it and we don't have to continually enter that again. There is a fee and they're telling me that just us entering those 2 items, the criminal history and the data information on the individual, would be about a $10,000 one-time conversion fee. That would be nice to have. Do we have to have it? No. But it would be something that would be a significant work reduction for us going forward, because when we initially switch over to this, that 260 we're supervising, we're going to have to take the time and enter all those people with all their information to get started and use this system. So being able to transfer that data over would make it a much quicker conversion for us.
So that's gonna be on top of?
Yes.
This was, so it's gonna be another 10 grand?
There would be another 10 grand for that conversion, yes.
Is this a separate,
Yes.
all right, and with the same vendor?
Same vendor. Basically, it's the cost that she gave you was what it would be for 1 year for us to operate with this system. The $10,000 is an additional amount to convert that 4,000 some people that we have in our system over to this system. I mean, is it something that, in the long run, it would be cost effective for us because of the amount of man hours it would take for us to re-enter everything? Because let's face it, we deal with the same people all the time. I mean, that's just a fact, so.
But you don't know if you're dealing with the same person if they're not in the system when they come back 2 or 3 years later, unless they're already there. You maybe lost the history.
Correct.
Well, it's less information they'll have to enter when they come back too, because they'll already be loaded in the system.
Okay. I think we'll be able to ask you, or would ask you, for more stats later. Once you get this up and running, we'll say, what was the average length of this, of your client from start to finish? And, you know, you'll be able to track a lot of things that you can't track today.
Exactly. This gives me right now, all the statistics I do, I literally do by hand myself. There's not a calculation feature to anything I have. So when I go back and have to bring statistics to you, it's me literally counting these things.
If we wanted to ask you today how many of them are between the ages of 20 and 25, you just have to sit and crunch to get numbers. But in the future, it'll be there.
Yes.
Interesting.
It'll have dashboards that we can use that'll give us statistic information. You know, like right now, I can get race and I can get, you know, sex and those type of things, you know, as far as the breakdown. But specific age groupings, I can't do that. There's a lot of factors, I think. You know, one thing that in the criminal justice system, age is the biggest factor. People just basically wear out of the criminal justice system. It's about 35 is about the age where you start seeing the ones that are ever going to get out. But
Age is an important one because that actually is one of the factors in all of the risk analysis tools. Age at first offense is a statistical factor in whether you're likely to commit another offense, miss court, what have you, for some obvious reasons.
You gonna be able to eliminate some staff here in a year then? We've added a lot.
are you talking about me, Judge?
No,
Oh,
nobody
you're
in
getting
particular.
around really good
So
now.
I like the service, but we've continuously been adding to it and adding to it and adding to it, so it just keeps costing us more money.
Well, it's
And this is gonna be
$435 a
another
day.
20,000, so.
I think honestly, my opinion on that answer, and Richard may not 100% agree because his job is different than mine, but is that we will not be adding. And in fact, the data entry, we have a part-timer who does most of that, just literally new data entry. That will be significantly reduced, and the hope is that FTE can be, if nothing else, shared with other.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I thought
other
we
parts
added
of the
some,
judiciary.
added some part-time or added a person just for data entry. So, I mean, this is a hell of a trade-off. if
Is
we
when she
can-
went from full-time to part-time,
Yeah.
at the same time we had added another, and that's been almost 2 years ago.
And we've
because-
done that for a lot of other elected officials too, and we've got more
Yeah, but-
people that are entering files and all this other stuff.
It's a fair point, Jeff. It's been
Yeah.
almost 2 years though since we added any.
Okay, if there's something we can do to try to get this stuff through the courts and get them off of there.
Yep.
Cause you're 200.
So that's the other
and some-
thing, just to update you all. We have quarterly meetings and trainings within pretrial where we both analyze that and then get and give feedback from all the judges to do just that. We're trying to, if you will, standardize what conditions would lead somebody to be off pretrial. I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot of
off
moving parts.
pretrial
to
in a
getting through
positive
there.
way, not in a locked up in
Okay.
sheriff's facility for the rest of their stay. But that's one of the other tools, that's one of the other aspects of this program that would trigger, instead of us having to literally do a tickler system and a calendar for all 260 people, it would automatically notify us, hey, this person's made all their court dates, done all this, they've got counsel now, their case is already at circuit division, they're not at risk, move them off, do something else. So, yeah, and that'll save money and time in the long run.
You mentioned monitoring and billing a while ago. Do we bill anybody? We don't bill anybody.
We bill the clerk's office, and then they add it to the cost.
They're
We-
taxed,
are?
they're taxed back to certain defendants.
Yeah, for electronic monitoring, yeah.
Okay, well, good. I didn't realize that. I didn't think we were.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes me feel better about that. Your witness.
I'm not going to cross-examine this witness.
Good, he would not do well. I'm just kidding. Anything else you all need?
So what do we have to do today, or, I mean, or,
We're basically approving to proceed, like she said, I don't think we're quite ready to sign the contract because we still have to have one piece of OSCA, but we had to go through this to get on OSCA's agenda for them to say, okay. So,
do they have to
state
approve
court
the
administrators,
conversion though?
because of the use, yeah. They're familiar with the program, they know we're coming. They have a meeting July 8th.
Yeah. Well, it's actually a few days before,
Okay.
but we should have an answer by the 8th.
But you have two different things here. You got this and then you got the conversion.
Yeah, St. Louis City has went through this process with OSCA on this same program.
Okay, so
So-
if we award this today,
Then we have to sit on it until it gets approved by OSCA.
right,
and
we
then
don't
we'll
have a
sign it.
contract anyway, but what about the conversion part? Because that's not included. on
Can't
here.
start it until that part anyway, but.
So that'll come later.
Right.
Okay, so then, was that in the budget since we were talking about this before? Or we're just, you say we're gonna take it from the sheriff's budget? How did?
Yes, so 2 years ago, yeah, I actually agreed, because they had a program they thought that was gonna be up to 30,000. I actually had it in my capital improvements, and nothing came of that. So I didn't put anything in this one because I didn't realize they were moving forward on it, but right now, I think you're looking at 21,000, is that right? 11,000 for the software and then 10,000 for the
Users.
Yeah.
and I would, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I'll pay the one-time cost. But I would absolutely agree, and this ain't gonna happen very often, with Richard Lee, that you do
Conversion.
the data conversion. Because it's gonna save them. It's gonna bring over some junk too, because there's no way that system is perfect in doing that. But it's gonna, time-wise, it's gonna save a lot more time. What's your goal on that? Would be what, 2-month time period? Don't you want to go 2 to 3 months?
Basically, what they were talking, if we signed in May, it would be probably the end of August
Yeah.
before we got rolling. So, we're pushing it back to July, so I would say probably October.
And is this going to reside on the county's server or just Oscar's?
It's going to reside in the clouds. This is a cloud-based government system.
So I assume you've talked to Brian on?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't have any objections.
Okay, we're all playing nicely together today, isn't it?
We've.
So you do this and
We've
Sheriff
kept
said
him
I'm pay
abreast
for
of the
it, Brian.
discussions, because one of the options,
Yeah,
if this were not the program, one of the options was a different system that we were gonna have to ask that he house it all, or the county house it all. This is not one of those.
If interest. I'm going to keep going with this.
Should come over to my jail dock in a minute.
You good with awarding pretrial services?
Yes, I am.
I'll make a motion to award pretrial services, case management, and reporting software to Automon LLC.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, John.
Okay, we'll go back to our agenda, discussion of Public Works Facility Master Plan Feasibility Study.
Give you all some information to look at. We've been talking about this for a while, and it's time to now make some decisions on what we want to do with the future of our property. We've outgrown our current building, and we need to either look at building a new building or expanding what we have right now. We don't have any room for additional staff if needed in the future. If we have to hold a public meeting, we got to go across the street to the fire station because we don't have space for that at our place. Our facility's not ADA compliant. Over the years, we've turned 4 mechanic and equipment bays into office and meeting space, and our current break room used to be the oil room. We're right now looking at needing to build a pole barn for truck and equipment parking under roof. The location of this structure hinges on what the master plan is for the property. We've also been considering and really need to add on to our engineering department just to add more workspace, but we don't want to do that if future plans would end up with us building a new building. So we got that temporarily on hold. We also desperately need a wash bay. Right now we go to a local car wash in town. It's very inefficient to do that. And ultimately it results in trucks not getting washed like they should just because it's not right there to do immediately when it needs to be done. About 10 years ago, the county purchased property to the north of our facility. We're at the side of an old gas station. We tore that building down. We've been periodically working on the property, filling it as excess fill became available. In 2019, CMPS did some work for us, laid out a possible future plan, just rough plan, with the purpose of designing a stormwater system to place the ditch that carried stormwater through the property into a pipe to allow us to fill and create a space for future expansion if that was the plan going forward. Also in years past, I don't remember exactly how long ago, let's say about 5 years ago or so, the county was looking at creation of central maintenance for our mechanic staff to maintain all county equipment and vehicles. That was done on a trial basis with EMS about 5 years ago or so. I don't recall exactly when. Limited success. Main issue was that we just didn't have the staff to really do it efficiently or keep up with it. So that ended after maybe a year or so. So if central maintenance is a thing to do that we want to do in the future, it definitely would impact what our future plans are for the property. So we've really been looking at 2 options. We talk about it, Matt and Brian and I and other staff, we've been talking about it for at least a year, actually probably more than that. What do we want to do here? Where do we want to be? What's the greatest plan that we can do here to maximize efficiency of our property and maximize the efficiency of our operation? So kind of listed out a few pros and cons on the second page there. And really, if you get down to it, the pros of building a new building is you start with a clean slate. Everything can be designed and laid out to maximize efficiency, it would primarily all the operations be on one level. The main con of that is just it's gonna be more expensive, most likely, and we've been kind of kicking this around with our Road and Bridge Advisory Board. They've given us some feedback on this, and building a brand-new facility, public perception might not be that great, spending money on a building versus roads and bridges. So those are things we're considering. The pros and cons of adding on to the current building is likely cheaper is the main pro to that. Again, public perception might be better there, but the cons of that is the current efficiencies of our current operation where it is right now would remain and actually get worse because we become more congested. So I just wanted to get this all in front of you. I did include the like I said, rough master plan that was done for stormwater work back in 2019. The date on there says 17, but the stormwater plans were finished in 19. And this is just very rough. If we were to place a building, it could be up in the corner there, right where you turn off of Highway 54. What do you do with the old building if we go that route? Well, it could remain as central maintenance. It could also remain as possibly the sign shop, signing and striping shop could stay down there. One other thing that I didn't mention, but it was maybe mentioned in the pros and cons. If we were to split up between a new building and an old building and still maintain operations in both, it does split up our staff. And we like being close to everybody. The daily operation, being close to everybody, all in the same place is a benefit. So that would maybe be one negative to building a new building and still maintaining operations in the other building. However, we could just move everything up there and operate out of the new site and use the old building for just truck parking, indoor truck parking. Other things to consider, the building there, it's the lean-to building there, the rectangular one up by the salt dome. It's in need of some repairs. Some of the walls are starting to bow out. Possibly could fall down if we don't do something with them soon. The salt dome building, it requires continual maintenance. The shingles are coming off. We did re-roof that about 5 years ago and we're having trouble with it, so we're having to constantly take care of that.
And then re-roof again this next week.
The ridge caps, so it's getting work done again next week at a cost of about $1,500. So
what happened to the roof?
Every time we get high winds, it blows shingles off.
Oh,
We just had it done.
about 5 years ago, yeah. It's just the design of that is,
Maintenance nightmare.
yeah, they're just,
It's the steepness of the roof on it. They can't guarantee they'll keep shingles on it.
so it's got its issues, and the structure is pretty old itself. And if you look on the plan here, we would prefer a structure that would have everything under the roof. You dump it from above down. Getting salt up in that salt dome is quite a task. You actually have to build levels and carry it up with the loader and just kind of stack it up. It's a challenge to do it. We do it. We got some guys that are pretty skilled in doing that kind of thing and can handle it, but not the most efficient thing. But it's there and it can function as is until the time would be that we'd want to build something new. But bottom line is we really need to make some decisions on what we want to do long term. We're not asking to do it right away, but we want to know what we want to do. That way we can systematically plan for and budget for a phased-in approach where after 10 years or so, we could be done with the expansion. The truck parking idea that I mentioned earlier, we do need to get our trucks under roof. Most of them stay outside. That's hard on, that's hard on them long-term. The wash bay is a big deal for us. We really need to get a good wash bay. Problem is where you put it. If you add it on, ideally you'd add it on to the smaller of the two buildings, but then it really constricts going around the turn to go up on the hill. The truck parking, it doesn't really show on this page. It'd just be off to the left of there, but it would be along that fence is where we have considered building it. But again, when you do that, then you're closing everything in and constricting everything in even more. So we're kind of, I'd say we're kind of 50-50 on build new or add on to the existing. Building new allows a full clean slate, and you don't have to deal with the inefficiencies and the congestion that we have currently where we're at. But then in doing that, you have to decide what are you going to do with the old building and the investments made in that over the years. Are we going to just not scrap it, but use it for a lesser use going forward? It can always be used for indoor parking, which we desperately need. If the truck parking idea, putting trucks under one roof, if we were going to build a new building up on the corner, we would build that truck parking up on the hill. That way it'd be compatible with future expansion. And that's what I would mean by a phased-in approach. We gradually build things that'll match what the long-term plan is. So going forward, I think the best plan is going to be to hire a company that can direct us, give us the alternatives, help us make the decision, and then begin design on what this facility would be. So that's going to be a combination of an architect and an engineer that's skilled in this type of work, facilities like this. So we haven't sought out anything from any of these companies that might be out there. We have not begun any of that. We just want to get some direction from the county commission on what to do, and if you guys are in agreement with this idea, or if we want to think on it, pull back, or I just want to hear your thoughts.
Well, it's a question of money. Yeah, we've got issues with the courthouse we need to address. We've got, John wanting to build out with with the jail. There's the Pringer Center needs. We got to win a lottery. That's
Yeah. And I understand that, Sam, and that's why we want to do this in a phased approach, not do it all at once. One thing I would add to that is this facility really hasn't been improved except for things that we do on our own since it was built, or since the second building was built. We really haven't done anything, and we've just simply outgrown it. Other county facilities have seen it in some improvements. We're pretty good at, we're pretty frugal with how we operate, and we just need something that functions good, and we just need to have a plan going forward. So I think part of the future plans for the county as a whole needs to be consideration of what we want this facility to be.
Eric, is the footprint big enough for the foreseeable future?
Yes.
The tract itself?
Yes. If you look in comparison, it's taking what's down in, I say, the valley and putting it up here allows better efficiency. Everything's on one level. That's a big issue right now. You got to go up to get everything, and you just can't. It just doesn't work really good going up the hill. By adding on up there, we could maintain some truck parking or indoor storage of whatever equipment that we have in the old facility. So yes, it would be big enough. I would ask Brian and Matt to interject as far as what you think would be. Are we big enough, or do we need to look at new property, I guess is what you're suggesting or asking about.
Well, right. I mean, once you lock into a 10-year plan, you in the 11th year, you can't say that we needed more space and we're landlocked. So being landlocked is not an issue that you.
I don't think so, just because, that's a pretty sizable tract right there, especially with adding on, and the work we did on the stormwater, and then we'd rechannel the ditch running through there would add a lot that's just unusable right now, so.
Do you think that the maintenance effort was short-lived because, or what do you see? Someday you see that more as being kicked off again? What do our peers do right now, counties our size with?
The main one I would look at would be Greene County, and they do central maintenance, and they have a pretty good sized shop that takes care of all county equipment. sheriff's department vehicles, ambulance, everything that they have goes through there. It's kind of its own separate department. In our case, I think it would be managed by Public Works, just because the type of work that we do is the heavy equipment. That needs to be the focal point of that shop. But doing the smaller things, the smaller trucks and the cars, we would just have to add more employees. That's the main thing, add more mechanics, probably at least 3, and some admin staff for that too. The main reason my understanding is the reason why we didn't continue it is just because we didn't have the staff to do it.
Or the space.
True, yeah, it was, that too, yeah, I didn't really get into that.
We can't currently, I mean, and we really appreciate the commission getting us that crane for the truck beds, because that saves us a ton of money. But it is outside, so when we work on a tandem dump truck, which we do every day, if we need to lift the bed up, we have to work on it outside. So that limits us to, if it's raining, we really can't work outside, or if it's snowing, or if it's very cold, it limits us to when we can work on our tandem dump trucks. So he's right, we've just outgrown, the equipment's gotten bigger and the shop hasn't gotten any bigger, and we keep stealing from shop space over the years to create office space, because that building was originally built as the gravel road maintenance building, and then there was an asphalt road maintenance building, and we didn't have planning, and we didn't have an engineering staff when that building was first built, and everyone's all under the same roof now, along with a GIS person and a finance person. So there's currently 44 people in that building, and our engineering staff, 3 of them share an office, our planning staff, 3 share an office, and then our supervisor office is 4 people sharing one room. So it's impossible to have any private conversations with an employee or anything unless you go reserve a conference room or use somebody else's office.
For central maintenance to function properly, we need another 3 to 4 bays just to be able to have, an ambulance or 2 in there, up on a lift, changing oil, sheriff, a couple vehicles there, and we just don't have the space where we're at right now.
Would you do body work there too?
We've done body work.
I'm just trying to dig onto somebody at the table.
The demand would be, so.
You realize I'm sitting here, right?
I do.
Right here.
Yes.
Thanks, sir.
Well, I thought you would want to know in case you have a,
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
you're welcome.
I don't think there's any deer out that way, are there?
No.
Just
Get attacked by a
woodpeckers.
goose or something.
Where would you look for your study, the firm to study?
I would probably start with, I got several contacts around the state through American Public Works Association, that public works departments that have built facilities. I'd probably reach out to them to start, pick about 5 that have newer facilities and see who they use to go through that process. Possibly look at some local companies as well to see what resources they might have. But I think our first start would be maybe even before we engage with in a contract with somebody to do the work, go around to maybe 4 or 5 locations around the state.
Boone County currently is going through the growing process of changing out their mechanic shop and changing office space. That might be a good place we could start. And they've got an architect under contract as well as an engineering firm.
Fulton's recently built a new maintenance building.
And it's really nice.
So
We also have a lot of repairs to the current building that need to take place. On the sign shop, we got a bid for garage doors. Our garage doors are about to fall off. The framing's getting rotten with all the salt and everything. We're nearly $40,000 just to replace the garage doors on that building. And of course, it floods occasionally. We're kind of in a little bit of a flood zone there. With both buildings, we get water in our offices whenever we have big rains.
Yeah, garage doors are in great demand.
So there's ongoing maintenance that we have to do, but making some decisions on where we want this truck pole barn, that would be pretty key right now.
I'm not gonna try to be funny here, but when we find some money somewhere to do, this is gonna take quite a bit. We've been talking about this, that's why we bought that property. So we get a wash station there, possibly have central maintenance. It's gonna be a big chunk, and there's a lot of money out there flying around, so is there some kind of grants that we can latch onto with to make our money go farther? Your place, I don't remember hardly any improvements we've made to that since I've been up here.
Very minimal.
So, we need to decide what we're gonna do, and just like you eat an elephant, take one bite at a time, and you may have to, we should have some more money coming in from the gas sales tax.
Yeah.
As long as you promise not to add any more employees,
Well,
unless we do a central maintenance, in which case that would have to happen, but, this stuff is one-time cost. I mean, every time we add an employee, though, that's, every year it costs more and more, so.
Right.
I think it's something we definitely need to take a look at, Eric, and the wash bay is a huge thing. Not only do you spend money at the other places, but you're traveling to and from them. I think it's something we could utilize even with the sheriff's cars, the ambulances, so.
Yeah, I was actually teasing Greg yesterday about that over on Adams.
It may not be moving everybody over, you know, it'd be nice to have everybody in the same building like you have it. You may have to move administration over in one area and keep some of the guys in that other area, but you're right, there's not a whole lot of room in there. Y'all are all on top of each other, and it's just, you know, it's old stuff, so.
Yeah. The improvements that we have made, we've done a lot of them ourselves, just because we can, and, you know, that's one thing to our benefit. You know, we do have the staff capable of doing that work. And so, we've tried to be reasonable and, you know, save money where we can, and just trying to be frugal the best we can, but we just, it's time to start making some decisions on it.
But y'all go to the different association meetings and stuff, and so surely at them points you can be in the general area of other
Yes.
counties and take a look at, see some of what they've done,
Mhm.
and kind of have an idea of how you'd like to do it. And if we have to scale back a little bit, I think we can do that. I mean, I think y'all have a good idea of what you want and need. Now, obviously, it's gonna take engineers and architects to draw it up, tell us what we can and can't do, but unless you think somebody's needing to come in here and tell you what you need, I don't necessarily think we need that.
Well, I admit the word feasibility study maybe didn't come across the right way. Probably should have been just begin planning and possibly the early stages of some design work to determine what to do. I think we pretty much know what we want. I think we're still a little back and forth on, is it better to build brand new or just expand what we have? And so maybe we can determine that on our own just by looking at other facilities rather than hire somebody to go through the training exercise of determining what to do, so.
I mean, I'd rather y'all try that first.
Yeah.
And you've got something kind of drawn up here already. I think that gives you a good idea, if you can put that in that footprint. I mean, we're kind of in that position countywide with all of our buildings. We're needing to do that. Right, Debbie?
Yes.
Is there any projections on, you know, the 2.5 cent gas or fuel tax increase, which will be 5 and then 7.5, all the way up to 12.5, what that's going to generate for Cole County?
My initial thought or numbers I had seen was about $150,000 a year, increasing that same amount up to $750 at year 5. I think that's a little off. I think that's a little less than that, but let's say it is still a little bit less. Let's say it's 700 in year 5. So that's a pretty significant increase to our gas tax and motor vehicle sales tax, those revenues coming in from the state. And that would, you know, that's going to be, well, part of it's going to make up for inflation, you know, unfortunately. But long term, that's going to help us, you know, put more money into pavement preservation. I've hit on that. That's a big thing for us, is pavement preservation. But, you know, that can go into facility improvements too, and we can start planning and knowing what we have to spend, you know, in the years going forward, we'll be able to just plan budget accordingly. So I think we just need to know what we need to do and how much it's gonna cost, and we just plan.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing is that we will start investigating and give us 3-4 months or so, come back, you know, maybe late summer with, here's what we learned and here's where we think we want to be, and
Here's how much it's gonna cost.
yeah, well, the cost thing, we might have to get some, well, that's, yeah, I don't, that'll be a little tough one. We can throw some ballpark numbers out there, but really knowing, we have to get into a little preliminary design work to know for sure, but we can probably ballpark it close enough,
Okay.
so.
And like Jeff said, there is a lot of money out there right now, because
Substation ambulance grant we got.
Yeah.
CDBG and
I know
stormwater grants we got.
there's Department of Transportation has grants, there's more, that breakdown was in our commissioner's NACO thing, and there's a lot of money out there, but
One thing, the hazard mitigation grants for a safe room for tornadoes. is
that gets
I think
us,
Nick left it
that
up.
gets us, yeah,
We could probably
brownie
utilize
points.
that. So,
Yeah.
though that's part of the discussion, figuring out where to find the money. If it's not all coming from us, what other options are out there, so. Well, I appreciate the conversation and willingness to consider it, and we'll come back to you. I'm going to say ballpark late summer with what we found and where we think we need to go.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, discussion of property at 314 Gateway.
I'll probably let Gina and Joe do most of the talking, but we've been getting a lot of complaints about this property, and it sounds like the sheriff's department has too, about what's going on the inside of the house, and they've gone out to visit a few times, and I think we're looking for some guidance, so.
Yeah, a lot of, so this has been going on for over a year and a half actually now. And we've had, it started out as just like too much grass and, you know, high, tall grass and trailer and stuff parked out, and it kind of, so we had a complaint on that, kind of eventually got that taken care of a little bit and in control, and then months later, we started getting some more complaints and followed up on that, and some trash was out there, and it started accumulating more and more. Then some of it got taken away. Anyway, it's evolved over quite some period of time, but it's the worst now than it's ever been. It is an actual public health concern. There's a stench from all the trash that they set out. They really don't have trash service, so it stands out there until somebody can take it to, I don't even know for sure where they are, if they take it to a landfill. It's a big concern, you know, to the surrounding area. And so lots of complaints, as Christie mentioned. Gene, do you have more to add on that?
I'm one of the neighbors, by the way. I'm the one right next door. So trash, they burn it. Whatever it is, they burn it. The smell is so bad, we can't open our windows when they burn it. Because there are still EPA, I don't even, man, I'm pretty loud.
No,
And
we
It's
could,
being televised.
Oh, okay. And then, plus the sheriff's department has been out there so many times that they're being taxed with all the calls constantly. But there's more tires out there that actually EPA allows to be uncovered at one time, because even auto shops have to have their, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyways, so all the tires out there that they have in the back, I believe somebody came out yesterday to look at the property. I saw some on my cameras. Yeah, there's more in the back, not just in the back of the truck. All the vehicles that they have there, one's not even licensed and tagged that they're driving around. Another one is, most of the people that come through there, they cut the catalytic converters off. So at 11, 12 o'clock at night. It's lovely to hear that no exhaust coming, and then they work on stuff so late at night, and it's just becoming a public nuisance to not just myself, my family, but I have cars coming through my neighborhood so slow to take pictures because they're like marveling at how can this get so pathetic and nasty.
I think the issue for us is, typically we bring these issues, if we can't work with the property owner, we bring them to you for abatement. I think part of the issue here is the property owner has left, and there's no electricity, there's no water, and the people that are living in the house are not the property owner, they're just, I guess, squatters for lack of a better word. So, and then, from what we've been told, the mortgage company would like to foreclose, but they can't because there's squatters in the home. And then, I agree, the sheriff's department. So I think we kind of want to put our heads together today to talk about how can we remedy this situation given the property owner is not even there. He had sent Joe an email when he moved.
Yeah, I think I forwarded that on to most, but you want to hand out some of the stuff, Gene?
What's the address?
314 Gateway.
I didn't include a copy of that particular letter to Nathan, but
I've got a couple copies of them probably.
there's 3 sets.
Here's a couple copies of the.
Trying to find your email.
I think I sent it to you too, so I think I
Yeah.
sent it. But,
There's dates at the top.
Jeez.
Yeah. Do you have an extra copy, Gene?
Yes.
So how can you get the squatters out of there? So they can't do anything with the house. It's foreclosed on, right? They're saying they won't do
It's
anything.
not
until-
officially under foreclosure according to the last conversation I had, and I think it's possibly because they can't officially foreclose until they know they can get them out. I don't know. I don't understand the dynamics of foreclosure.
I don't know why they couldn't get an eviction process.
They have to get an eviction process, but it has to start with the owner. So if there is some question on who actually owns the house, and the owner may say, the heck with it, let the bank have it, well then, they have to wait till the foreclosure takes place for the bank to start the eviction process for us to get these guys out.
But they
Not
won't
my
start
law.
that until them guys are out, is what they
No,
were saying.
No, they can start the foreclosure, the eviction process. So the eviction process it has to start with a reporting party.
Okay.
And can the Penny Mac or whatever, can that be the party or not?
Has to
It's
be
gotta
the
be
owner.
it's gotta be the owner. And so the owner of the residence is the one that has to start the eviction process.
But he doesn't care. He's gone. So then who do we go to next?
There's nothing I can do. Unless the courts intervene, so you guys can do through these guys, do a public nuisance and go through the public nuisance ordinance and try to do that the house is a public nuisance, and we can do once you mark it for public nuisance, then we can run people out of there.
Well, then
So-
we need to do that, because,
Well, that's gonna take court action.
well, I know, but I mean,
Are you talking about an abatement to get
For the public health hazard?
for the,
abatement?
because we can abate, we typically abate the outside of a property, not an inside
Yeah,
of a
we don't
property.
have authority to do that
Now,
inside.
when we start that, there is concern, because there's a garage door that's partially open. We can see stacks and stacks of stuff in there. As the neighboring property owner allowed us to come by on his property and see in the back, which we couldn't see before. And there are stacks on the deck back there. There are stacks and stacks of garbage below. It is going to, after abating the property, I believe they've had the utilities off in that house since before last winter. So what's going on inside that house and how people continue to live in that is beyond most people's imagination.
So
But
do we need to
they've
do
been
both?
doing it.
Do we need to do the abatement and the public nuisance, or can we do just a public nuisance?
I personally think you go forth with your abatement. I think that needs to happen, but
I don't know that we have statutory authority to do a public nuisance act.
No, you don't. Well, from what she just said, you don't. But
The city may.
the
It's
prosecutor,
not in the city limits.
so we have a public nuisance letter that when we go serve a search warrant a couple times that involves drugs, narcotics, Locke actually came up with a letter, it's a public nuisance letter that says if we have to come back here one more time in reference to blah, 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 and he references the public nuisance law. So I can meet with him or
Yeah,
Bill and I can try to meet with him.
that's part of it.
So why don't you look into that, Joe, and I think we'll go ahead and move on the outside part of it. 'cause
Yeah,
We've done that
Safety for
before.
drug houses, if it's owner occupied, then they'll do the forfeit.
We'll figure something out.
Well-
Rented, it's a public nuisance.
But, and isn't this had drug reports of drug issues there?
Well, and that's what I just wrote down, check the call volume, and we can take all that and see what Locke can do as far as, because if they can get the courts to declare it a public nuisance, then we can literally seal the house, take everybody out and seal the house.
Does the county have the authority to post a note on the door that basically says not fit for human occupancy?
That's not my purview.
Well, I'm asking if the county has that authority to,
Not under ours. Ours is all about the outside because it has to
well,
be a public.
okay, so but don't we, when somebody builds a new home in the county outside the city limits, do we say, you have an occupancy permit?
That's through public works.
That's public works.
Well,
You guys do
why,
occupancy permits.
it's only for new?
That's code enforcement.
I understand, but, so if you build a new house, you have to make it fit for
Correct.
occupancy. If you have an existing house, there's no rules? Is that what we're saying?
And we only do them
Joe, you probably need to come up to the table too, so we can hear what you're saying.
The occupancy permit generally is requested by the homeowner or the lending institution. We don't do them unless it's requested.
Okay.
You just
And
have
it's
a
just,
building.
we have building permits that we inspect. We'll do new construction, we'll also do remodels, remodel inspections too. But anytime an occupancy permit is requested, we'll go ahead and do it and say, yes, it's safe for inhabiting.
Well, we need to do something. Just say, we can't do anything. We need to do something.
What's the age difference between the photos, the before and the after?
Yeah, well, and so the one was just kind of basically, that was probably from 2018.
I thought I wrote the dates on several copies. I'm sorry if it didn't get on that one. The one up here does. The first one was from 7/21, I believe, of 21. And the second one was this year, I think February.
Okay.
One thing, we've had several complaints, and as the gentleman here said.
Right now, the front yard, you want to see it.
And we have several more photos. One consistency that everyone has said to us is the smell, the stench. And that second picture, you can see meats in open containers that also hold water. That's certainly a public health risk. We were able to, as Joe said, access the back side of the house yesterday, and there's piles of garbage bags back there. I've been to the home several times, and this was already underway when I came on board at the health department. But each time that I've been there, most of the time that I've knocked on the door, nobody will answer. I've even heard people inside. I knew people were there. They wouldn't answer the door. We leave hang tags asking them to call to talk to us about the concerns. They never call. When I have been able to get somebody to answer the door, and we're dealing with the outside, I would love to see it abated, but they open the door and I can look inside and see the entire living room stacked to the ceiling with garbage bags. It's a health risk to people living close, It's a health risk to anybody in that house, in my opinion. I would love to see it abated, but I'm very concerned that if we abate it, the conditions will just continue to happen if the people who are in that home are allowed to stay. So
you've got an email from the homeowner. You think we could get him to give us permission to start some kind of action as far as eviction?
Well, I thought so, but I have been trying to contact him, his email, his phone numbers that I used to have from him. I even asked for a phone number from the Penny Mac guy that's fairly recent, and that number didn't work. Nobody, so I don't know. I don't know what has happened to him. I don't know why he is not responding. He used to be very responsive when I could talk to the actual owner, and pretty much just said it was bad luck that people weren't paying rent and helping him, make payments. Therefore, he had to get out. And I think he might have had issues. I think might have had a personal situation with his wife or whatever that might not be the same anymore. Or, they might have drifted away apart. I don't know. But I think there's a few things going on there. Anyway, have not been able to contact Nathan Nichols in months.
Does the owner reside in the state of Missouri?
Right now, I believe does, sir.
We have to hear you on here. I mean, people will look back at this and say, what did they talk about? What was that guy saying? So we want to hear what you have to say. Yeah.
So about 6 to 8 months ago, they were married. And I get a knock on the door about Christmas Eve around 8 from the Highway Patrol. His wife had left him, and her boyfriend has gotten involved in a high-speed pursuit chase with the Highway Patrol. So it's been down here since then. And no, they are not together still. So.
Well, his email said he was giving somebody permission to stay there until the foreclosure. Well, if the foreclosure is not going to happen until it's vacated, it's never going to happen.
Right.
Correct.
So surely they can go in and start the foreclosure process without vacating. So I find that hard to believe. They got to be able to do something on the foreclosure. They're not going to care if they're still living there.
But let me do some checking on that, and my people are really good at finding people, so let me.
Good.
Let me check.
Thank you. That's
Yeah,
why.
we've got to do something.
We
can't
want to
just-
get this moved to the next step, really bad. It just, we don't know exactly whose expertise to use to get just in discussion with
Find
people.
something we can do in statute, Jill. I mean, find something.
Well,
Find
our
something
hands are
that-
tied. I mean.
No,
we
there's
have-
got to be something we can do with it.
They have a specific statute for public health, and it outlines what they can do.
I'm not even talking about public health. Get creative. Use something else. I don't know.
Well,
Find something.
We don't have any kind of
Okay, I'll
statutory
find somebody else that
authority
can find
to
something
speak.
in. That's fine.
I think John had
I'll
the
find
best
somebody.
idea.
If
We
you don't
talked
want
a
to, that's
lot.
fine. I can get somebody else to find it. I'll do some research myself.
I think maybe,
No, and there have been a few situations where we've been able to abate property where we couldn't find the owner, where we just listed in the newspaper. We had to run it in the newspaper for certain weeks. I remember a few situations where we couldn't find the owner. It was a renter situation, and we just ran a notice in the newspaper saying, to whom it may concern, we're gonna abate this if we don't hear from anybody. But, so we could start down that path for the outside, but it doesn't help the inside. So
Right,
why
that's
we
what
need to have
I
this
fear.
discussion.
We could fix the appearance of the outside and get the rat, what's that term, rat harborage?
Right.
I love
Vermin.
that term.
Harbors vermin.
Okay. We can make it look better from the outside, but the smell might be still coming from the inside.
They'll
And
probably just keep kicking it outside,
Yeah.
so it's just gonna be a perpetual
the
issue.
burning can DNR.
I think there's certain times of the year where burning is allowed.
But the substance.
Trash and full
It's in the
is
county.
authorized, but
Yeah,
you
it's
also
in-
have to think about the EPA side.
That's
Even
why
But
I
they
was
don't, the
suggesting
limits there are not going to be
No,
regulated by
DNR.
EPA, either in DNR. So you have to burn so much per
This
year.
can't be the only
to
house
be
in
under,
the state of Missouri
environmental regulations.
Toxic
that has this
substance,
issue.
Right.
And it affects my family. then it
So
goes
there's
to-
got to be some way.
Yeah.
maybe it's out of our hands, but it could be where the state
Well,
takes it
we
on.
just
So
have to use
we'll
the
do a little
authority.
research and find out.
That's okay.
Let's look to see if the state has some authority.
Well, that would be DNR.
Well, whoever,
But I
Well,
don't,
that's what I was just asking Jill to look
Do we,
into.
I'm saying, do we
Okay.
know, we don't know who's living in the
She's
house,
saying
right?
apparently that we can't do
Like,
anything, so I'll
there's-
research it too, I guess.
I'm just wondering if we should call, like, hotline it too, because we don't know if there's, we don't know the
So the
children,
lending
you know, we can
institution,
hotline them.
the property owner is delinquent in his payments to the lending institution.
Correct, that's our understanding, correct, Joe?
Yes. And
So,
They said they're paid up.
Yeah. I do think possibly, Jeff, that I believe that on one of those Ainsworth or something, possibly might still be one of the people living there. I'm not sure.
The most consistent vehicle that's there is a red pickup. It's license or expired. And I believe that belongs to this Mr. Ainsworth, John Ainsworth. I've never been able to talk to him in my visits out there. Each time that I have talked to people, it's been a different person. They've said they don't live there. They just have come to the door or something. So it's very difficult to, as Joe has said, talk to the owner, if he indeed is still the owner of that property.
But the bank's not gonna care if somebody's still there. They're gonna foreclose on it. If they're not getting their payment, they're gonna foreclose on it. And then they become the lien holder on it and they can start taking some action. Because otherwise, if they're not gonna do anything until the person moves out, I'm gonna stop paying on my house. And I'm just gonna stay living there. They can't do anything to me, right? I mean, that's what I'm hearing. So,
I agree. I don't necessarily agree with what you were told about
I don't either.
the bank, so, but like I said, let me do some digging on this and I'll get back.
And I find that hard to believe, but then I'm not the bank's attorney. But, I mean, how many other situations are there when they foreclose on something?
can you get back to us next Tuesday, John? Because I don't want to keep
Just put it,
this,
yeah, put it back on for next week.
I don't want to keep this
But, yeah.
I mean,
Dragging
there's something the
on.
county attorney could look into too.
is,
I'll work with Jill.
Is
We'll
the-
put this on the sheriff.
is the mortgage or
I
Penmac?
have looked at a statute, and it has a process for taking them out, and I do find it hard to believe that they can't foreclose if there are people in there. But, I mean, I'm not
Right.
saying-
I've talked, and it doesn't make sense to me either. I'm sure there was a different lending institution that was involved, and then
They may
moved
not
to
just- they may-
PennyMac, and then there's also,
Well, I'm thinking they may not want that property. And so they're feeding you a line about why they can't foreclose, because it's gonna end up costing them probably more to clean it up in the long run than it's worth.
now, apparently, I mean, so one of the complaints we had was somebody a couple blocks away, and he said that he was interested in, if nobody else would do it, that he would buy the place, because he does, redoes houses. And so he would get rid of it, and at least, for the good of the neighborhood, basically. And I gave him the number of the people that, for PennyMac, and name and number, and I haven't heard if he's going down that process or not.
Help me with this. Who and what is PennyMac? Is it a federal lending institution?
Yeah, I mean, it's a,
Yes.
It's not a private company. Well, there's got to be a way to get to PennyMac then, or PenMac, whatever it is, and push some buttons there.
Joe has contacts, we can talk to him.
Well, I mean, call your congressman. What? Or I'll call the congressman. Give me a name at PenMac. Tell him to get in gear.
it was, I sent you an email, I think, with that, and it's in what I handed out, but Bobby at PennyMac and There was also Central Mortgage Services. I talked to.
So
Sarah.
PenMax, like Wells Fargo or any of them, that somebody you borrow from here and you go, they sell the loan.
Yeah.
So I may have gotten my loan at ABC Bank right here in town.
Right.
But then they sell that loan.
Yeah.
This outside institution will start taking action at some point when they're not getting paid anymore. And I guarantee you none of them have been here to see what the shape the house is in. They're still gonna foreclose on it, then they're gonna sell the foreclosure to somebody else, and it's gonna happen probably 6 or 7 times until somebody finally takes the amount of money that's really worth to get it
So-
cleaned up and flipped.
Actually, so they have actually seen, they have surveillance cameras. Somebody, one of the central mortgage contract services, Sarah said, she actually called us when the property was partially abated. They started getting, well, I mean, they did it on them by themselves, but they cleaned up the house, the outside a little bit. And she said, is everything, are the people out of there? Because they could see from their cameras that almost all the trash had been removed. And she wanted to know, because they were waiting to get in there, according to this Sarah, that they were waiting to get in as soon as everybody was, no longer in the house. And so they had asked if the abatement was completed, and we said, no, we've been working to try to get it, but so then she gave me this Bobby at PennyMac. So his number is 682-324-9193. And he's one that says we can't legally set foot on their property until vacated, even squatters. And he gave me Nathan Nichols' number, but that number didn't work.
I just find that hard to believe. I don't know.
I do too. I wish it wasn't that way, but I mean, that was consistent with what Sarah from Mortgage Contract Services, and I have her phone number too.
So a good point to think about this is, if anybody out there right now has a loan through PennyMac, you can quit paying your bill. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Well, can we put this back on next week's agenda? And John, Jill, talk, we need to find out what we can do, because
So we can start doing
this
the
is
outside
not,
abatement.
this is not,
Yeah, we
yeah.
could, like I said, I think we have to run a
If y'all
notice.
wanna
but
go
we
ahead
can
and work
start-
on the
yeah.
outside abatement.
Yeah, we can
part.
start, let's run notice on that then. I mean, it'll end up getting trashed up again, but, that's, I don't want to just keep kicking it down the road. It's
Yeah.
like.
So if we start on the outside part though, that takes care of that part of it.
Yeah,
So the inside part's a whole different story.
yeah,
And the only part that the health department has any kind of jurisdiction or can take some action is the outside part, from what I
Yeah.
understand.
And part of the reason for
So-
wanting to get the two together was because we know there's so much on the inside that it'd be nice to start the abatement and try to get people kicked out.
Yeah, but
I think we should highlight it.
I've seen a lot of other houses that have a lot of stuff on the inside too, and you just don't know how they can live like that.
yeah. I'm sure that EMS has probably seen places like that.
So we need a motion to start the abatement process on the outside part. Is that what y'all want to do?
So moved.
Yes.
Okay. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and then we'll try to figure something out on the inside part. I don't know, property rights is a big thing, so I don't know if there's a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
lot you can do, but I mean, we need to research and see if it's causing an odor or something that's unsafe.
We'll also see if we can call the hotline, because we don't know who's living there. There could be kids or something. If we know the utilities are off and it's unsafe in there.
I don't understand how you can,
Well,
Was this the house where the person got down?
so they don't have, do they have water? They don't have water either, right?
as far as I know, no. I mean, we'd heard about this before the winter, and so I thought, well, okay, it'll only take a month or so of cold weather and they'll, get out, but They apparently camped all winter long.
No water.
There's no water, there's no power. That was confirmed by MNUE. They have been chainsawing every tree in the property to warm the house throughout the winter. So midnight at night, it's great to hear that chainsaw going.
Oh my gosh.
And
gonna
it's
get
not,
nice with
it's
this
not dry
100-degree
wood or
weather.
seasoned wood. It's that nice green wood that creates a creosote. So I've actually just waited for the house to maybe burn up.
Well, that,
Sorry to
our
say
it might
that.
be.
Our fire departments are way too good too, though. They'll stop it.
I know.
Well, they don't have phone service, right?
Just-
Oh, they got phones, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
Oh, you're
No,
fine.
we just have
Understand
to
your
do,
frustration.
we have to
Yeah.
do something. We can't,
Well, I included that last picture in there just to show you, that's a nice home. It could be a
Yeah,
nice home, and
yeah.
that was only a couple of years ago, and that's how bad it's been trashed in that short period of time.
okay. Well, we'll add it to we'll start the abatement exterior, and then we will put it on the agenda again for next week, and, yeah, that's not acceptable.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Sorry I didn't have better answers for you.
Okay, I think we're down to the last one. Signing of Accurate Controls Service Agreement Renewal.
So this is a county that has our security envelope. They have us over a barrel. We have to pay it. I'm not happy about it. But anyway, it has increased the amount. We did have this in our budget. It increased $5,872. So I have a transfer here for that from our contingency fund to be able to pay that. And then I have another transfer for our salary line. And I was gonna give it to Chelsea, and she said to give it to y'all, and she scares me, so I'm gonna do what she says.
Which one we want to take first here? This?
That one.
Okay. So I'll offer a motion. Well, we'll end up signing the transfer on this, right?
Yeah, it's the second page, I think, third page is a signature block in the bottom.
Do I have to initial every?
You have to initial every page and a thumbprint, top right-hand corner.
To renew the agreement with Accurate Controls, Inc.
Yes, sir.
with the increase of
$5,872.
$5,872.
Is that right?
Yes.
Hot damn.
Any sense?
Second.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
We talking about sheriff?
Yeah.
Any-
Any sense?
Again, standing right here,
Sorry, you pitched that one up like a slow
In the
pitch
ear.
softball.
right to the heart.
Okay.
I only tease you because I'm
And then
on
it
you.
just doesn't really need to go for commission, she just wanted me to make sure you guys signed it.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
See, if you brought pie, we probably would treat you with more respect.
Yes, sir. But just on the, make sure everybody understands, we've never had a vehicle fall off a tow truck and hit another vehicle.
Okay, this one's signed.
It wasn't a county.
See, that's a diversion. So divert it off me back over the EMS. Although I never said EMS.
Speaking of vehicles, actually you need to have Nick bring that little vehicle out there for driving around the park. Got the four-seater.
Okay, yeah, you need to bring that out. Okay. Do we have anything else to come before us?
No, I wanna go inspect the roof out of Public Works. Goodness. That bugs me. I know, I saw that too.
Be careful, be
The salt dome?
Be
Is that what you're
careful
looking at?
climbing that.
Well, I know it's a steep deal, but still, we just did it a few years ago. So, I don't know, I'll look into it. David did send some information on it.
Okay. Anything else?
Make a motion to stand in recess until 4:30?
4:30. Yeah, tomorrow's 3. Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah, that big agenda.
got in the act today, and you didn't get a chance to. I didn't want you to feel left out, brother.